Now we're going to build a quick demo application where we have a Mendix mobile app that shows all the contact information data that is stored in Salesforce and Hubspot. Here we see Salesforce, we have some contact information, and if we search for Jen, we'll see Jennifer. If we go to HubSpot, we also have contact information available, and if we search for Jen, we'll find a Jenny and a Janelle. Keep those names in mind. We'll see them later on. Let's go to eMagiz. In eMagiz, we're going to model the integrations we need to provide the data. And we start by adding Salesforce as the system to the canvas. Salesforce will connect to a XML web service. Next, we're going to add HubSpot. HubSpot will connect through a JSON REST service. And finally, we're going to add Mendix Data Hub as a system. And Mendix Data Hub uses the OData protocol to connect. Then we're going to add the Mendix app. We're going to build the appointment app as a tenant to the Mendix Data Hub system, so we can easily add more apps later. And then connect them so we can reach contact information from the data hub. Next, the design phase. Here we have to fill in some details how to connect to the systems. The most important one is the data models. Here we see a data model, how we want to show a contact in the Mendix Data Hub. We added an ID and a source field just as indications where data is coming from. And this is a very similar data model. This is the data model from Salesforce, and we need to map this data model to the other one. Here we're going to start mapping. It's quite trivial. We map the ID to the ID. The only exception is the source field, which cannot be mapped, so we need to enrich our message later. Next, map the other fields. Technically we're done now, we have no errors, but let's also map all the optional fields. Now for HubSpot we need to do the same thing, so we're going to map to the same data model again. But in this case the data model from HubSpot is quite different and it's not that Mendix friendly, so we're going to map it. Here we're going to only focus on the required fields because the other ones we don't have available. And again, the source field will be added later in the create phase. This is the create phase. Based on what we did in design, eMagiz will auto-generate almost everything. We just need to fill in some details. In this case, one of the details to fill in is how to determine the value for the source attribute. In this case, we're going to simply select Salesforce as a value. Other operations that will auto-generate are rules like if the data is not there, just don't map it because it's optional, which is fine for this demo app. So we're done with that mapping. Let's do the same thing for the HubSpot mapping, where we also need to fill in the value for the source. And in this case, of course, the source is HubSpot. With that done, we're ready to deploy our integrations. We do that by going to the deploy phase and clicking the play button. The last step in this deployment process is publishing the running service that we are creating to the Mendix Data Hub, which has happened now. So we can take a look at the Mendix Data Hub. This is the Mendix Data Hub, and here we can see our contact with all the fields you'll recognize from the eMagiz data model. Let's go to Studio Pro. In Studio Pro you can also search the Data Hub. We'll search for contact again. We'll find an entity, put it on our canvas, and from this point on it's basically what you're used to do in Mendix. Build some logic on your entities. For this demo, we're going to build a mobile page to search for contacts. In the mobile page, we're going to use a list view, connect it to our contacts, and let Mendix automatically fill the page. We'll remove the ID and the source because those are not interesting for users. We're going to add some styling to it, and also we added an appointment node, also showing that you can store local data connected to the remote data from our data hub connection. Let's run this app and see how it looks. This is the result, a mobile app where we can see all the contact information of our company. We can add notes and store them to the different contacts. And we can search our contacts. And if we search for Jen, we have 3 results. We have our Jenny, we have our Jennifer, and we have Janelle. This was just a very short demonstration showing what you can do with eMagiz. Of course, you can do a lot more. But this should give a good indication how eMagiz works and what the power of combining eMagiz with Mendix Data Hub is. Now, back to you, Tim.
Thank you, Alexander. I think this was a great way